Yes, sir.
Small green things there.
Yes, sir. I see them little seedlings. How long does that take? So by September?
Oh man, we start harvesting these in October.
Okay. In October. Okay.
Hailing from 4 generations of master farmers, John Wesley Boyd Jr. has raised everything from chickens, tobacco, wild pigs, corn, wheat. He maintains at least 100 head of cattle and proudly specializes right now in soybeans. The Sister's Perspective visited he and his wife at his home in both Baskerville, Virginia, and his newest acquisition, a nearly 900-acre farm in Boydton, Virginia.
Last week.
Last week, I'm sorry. I should have had it at least by yesterday. We just checked the map.
Oh,
Today is Monday, Jay.
This is a Virginia Agriculture Center.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
The license for the industrial hemp is statewide.
Okay.
Now, if Sonny Badu would say that we could use USDA programs and services to grow the hemp, now that would be great, but they've actually issued a statement for 2019 that no USDA monies can be used for industrial hemp.
You know what? There's an agriculture attorney.
We were seeking to find out how he became one of the nation's most sought-after social justice voices in agriculture and farming. In addition to being a master farmer, husband to Kara, and father to Wesley and stepfather to Braven, his life experience in agriculture has led him to becoming a civil rights activist, advocating for African American farmers around the country. When asked about how he originally got into farming, here's what he had to say.
I'll give it a short story. Basically, my dad was a farmer, his dad was a farmer, and his dad was a farmer. And I kind of grew up a little bit like many blacks did. Then parents moved up north and moved back to the country. That's exactly what my parents did. So we moved back to the family farm in Bracey, Virginia, which is right across the Roanoke River. I'm going to show you where that is.
Bracey, Virginia.
Bracey, B-R-A-C-E-Y.
Okay.
So that's where my
That's where your parents live.
That's where they live. That's where they're from. And I kind of fell in love with farming.
And how old were you when y'all moved to Bracey?
Oh man, I was in the 10th grade.
Okay, all right.
So I was out there.
Just a teenager.
I was a teenager, and I really didn't want to move to the country.
Have been coming over the summer since you were a kid.
Oh, okay.
Since I was a kid, I thought that was okay. But actually living here, I wasn't feeling that at that particular time.
Okay.
That family farm, located in Mecklenburg County, just shy of the North Carolina border, is still owned and operated by the Boyd family today. For a long time, the Boyds conducted their farming operations without government assistance until one day, John Boyd Jr. decided he wanted to buy his own farm.
Well, basically, I wanted to buy a farm. So I started looking, and I found this gentleman by the name of Russell South. He was a day-chain African-American farmer from the farm that you just left.
Right.
And I said, talked to the guy. He said, he never called me Boyd, he called me Brown. He said, well, Brown, are you going to do anything? You going to do any work now? I said, yes, sir, I'm going to work. And he said, I believe you're going to do something. So I want you to have this place. And he said, well, but where are you going to get money from? I said, I don't know. I'm 18 years old. So I don't know where I'm going to get money from. He said, well, the government got plenty of it, but they don't like to lend it to blacks. And he said, that's what my loans were, but the guy up there is a redneck. That's what he told me. And I'm thinking, I wasn't a 60s child, so I had some white friends. I said, man, that stuff, man, we kind of moving ahead beyond that. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying about property line down there.
That's your property line? Okay, all right.
So, anyway, so I applied to purchase the farm, and I wound up assuming Russell Sally's debts, a portion of his debts, to purchase the farm.
Because he had a mortgage on it, probably.
He had a mortgage on the property. He had lost the farm, and when we went to closing, all that was new to me. And Russell Sally asked Mr. Garnett, the lending officer, well, how much money am I going to get out this deal? And he said, well, Russell, you're not going to get anything because you already lost the farm. And Mr. Sally, he was handicapped. He only had one hand. And he beat down on this wooden desk. The desk was coming up off the ground. He said, well, I don't give a damn if you give it to Brian for 25 cents. And I was thinking to myself, oh, God. Here I went through a whole year to get this loan, and Mr. Sally would blow my deal. You know, that's what I was thinking. I was that was my personal interest at the time. And he says, well, where are you going to get operating money from? He said, Mr. Sally. I said, I don't know. He said, well, you can get that from the government too. They're supposed to lend it to you, but they probably won't. So he told me good luck with the Farmers Home Administration. It was called the Farmers Home Administration back then. And so I went up there and applied for the loan, and I got a loan sporadically here and there. But for the most part, Mr. Garnett to me was a redneck. You know, he tore my application up one year and threw it in the trash can.
But then I read something about it took a year, 340 something.
87 days to process a black farm loan request, and less than 30 days to process a white farmer's loan. And 1 year I was sitting in his office. This is the truth. The desk is sitting here. I'm sitting here, and Mr. Garnett was sitting over there. And this guy, not a guy, Farmer Earl comes in, abruptly interrupts my loan process with Mr. Garnett, and he says, "Oh yeah, there you go, Earl. I got your check here," and it was a check for $157,000 in the '80s. You know, for a farm operating loan, a lot of money.
Okay.
So I'm sitting there looking at that, and I'm begging for I was only needing $5,000 to plant my crop and harvest it. Sitting there pleading with Mr. Garnett for $5,000, and this guy walks in, gets Mr. Garnett hands him a $157,000 check. They do the pleasantries. They're gonna go down to South Hill and have dinner at Brian's Steakhouse, him and his wife. They did all the presents.
And this was a white farmer that was getting the check.
Oh, this is the epitome of Mecklenburg County and what a white farmer would look like. And on the way out, they said goodbyes, and I'm still sitting there, I'm looking, and Farmer Earl says, Mr. Garnett says to Farmer Earl, Earl, come on in here one day next week and fill out that paperwork now, you know, for the loan and all. I ain't had time to do it. So he hadn't even filled out the paperwork. He picks up a check for $157,000, and I'm in here pleading with him
for $5 grand.
$5 measly, funky, stinky grand. And he's telling me he's not going to lend me any of his money. This is how the dialect and how he was talking to black people back then. I'm not going to lend you any of my money. He was calling farmers like myself and senior statesmen to me. Boy, you know, refer to him, you know, that old boy. And those farmers in there were in their 60s and 70s. I still refer to the guy now as Mr. Tisdale.
And he calling them boy.
He's calling them boy. And that's when I went there and I said, well, you're not going to lend any money? And he says, no. I said, well, I have a great relationship with God, but I didn't have where I am now. And I don't know if he said F you first or I said F you first. But we both said it. And he spat, and it went on my shirt, and that's when I started cursing back at him. And I stood up. You know, I'm young. You know, I was actually thought about
doing something to him.
Yeah, I actually thought about taking him to the woodshed. You know, black style.
Right.
You know, you don't spit on no brother, man. And I actually literally thought about that, and something said, go to the bathroom, and I did. And I came back, and I said, well, saying to myself, if I hit this guy, I'm gonna do some federal time. You know, this is the federal government. And I came back in, And I asked him again, I said, so you gonna let me no money? He said, no. And that's what he said, well, I don't give a damn if you don't come back next year. I turned around and walked out the office. And when I came out the back door, all of the employees that were inside were outside. And I didn't put two and two together that they were scared.
Oh, they was.
They heard me yelling in there, and he's yelling.
They thought you was about to do something.
They thought I was about to do something to them. So all of them was, and I walked by myself. What are these people doing out here for? I
You
didn't
ain't
put
gonna do it to us.
Yeah, I didn't put it together.
That exchange led to a series of investigations leading to a landmark $1 billion settlement between he and 400 other African American farmers versus the United States Department of Agriculture. Known as the Pickford and Glickman case, this historic landmark class action suit alleged that from 1981 to 1997, USDA officials ignored complaints brought to them by African American farmers, denying loans and other support due to rampant discrimination. And that was just the beginning. After that settlement made news, and after more black farmers came forward having missed the deadline to apply for money, he made headlines as founder and president of the National Black Farmers Association, advocating on behalf of more than 80,000 late claimants. And in 2000, he began making trips to Washington, D.C., first by car, then in 2002 by mule and wagon, and then in 2010 via a tractor named Justice, each time around Capitol Hill and the White House, and each time urging lawmakers and government officials to, quote, step up and honor the settlement agreement from the lawsuit. Today's Sisters Perspective Spotlight is on John Wesley Boyd, food justice advocate and activist.